If you are between the ages of 55 and 64, or you have a parent, a sibling, or a friend in that age range who depends on food stamps, I need you to pay close attention to the next 12 minutes. Because a brand new federal rule took effect this year that could strip food assistance from millions of older Americans who were exempt from work requirements for decades. The rule was buried inside a larger law passed last year. The changes are rolling out state by state right now, and most of the people affected do not even know it has happened yet. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what changed in 2026, who is affected, and who is still exempt, the work activities that count and the ones that do not, the 4 exemptions that can protect you, and the step-by-step process to take this month so your benefits do not get cut off without warning. Let me start with a clear picture of what food stamps actually are, because the terminology can be confusing. The official name of the program is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP. In some states, it has its own name. In California, it's called CalFresh. In other states, you may hear it called food stamps, EBT benefits, or just food assistance. They all refer to the same federal program. SNAP provides monthly benefits loaded onto a card that works like a debit card at grocery stores, farmers markets, and increasingly at online retailers. The average SNAP benefit for an older adult living alone is somewhere between $150 and $290 a month, depending on income and expenses. For a senior on a fixed income, that benefit is often the difference between eating well and skipping meals. Now here's what changed. Last summer, Congress passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, which made several major changes to SNAP. The change that affects older adults the most is this. The age range for what's called the ABAWD work requirement was expanded. ABAWD stands for Able-Bodied Adult Without Dependents. Before the new law, ABAWDs aged 18 through 54 had to meet a work requirement to receive SNAP benefits for more than 3 months in a 3-year period. Adults 55 and older were exempt. Under the new law, the upper age limit for the work requirement has been raised to 64. That means anyone aged 55 to 64 who was previously exempt now has to meet the same work requirement that younger adults face, or they lose food assistance after 3 months. Let me tell you exactly what the work requirement looks like, because this is where it gets specific. To keep SNAP benefits beyond 3 months, you must do one of the following each month. Work a paid job for at least 80 hours. Participate in an approved work training program for at least 80 hours. Do a combination of paid work and training that adds up to at least 80 hours. Or do volunteer work or community service through a qualified program for the equivalent number of hours. The hours have to be documented. You have to report them to your state SNAP office on the schedule they set, which varies state by state but is usually monthly. Miss a month and the 3-month countdown starts. Hit 3 months in a 36-month period without meeting the requirement, and you lose your benefits until you can demonstrate compliance again, or until you qualify for an exemption. Now let me tell you the timing, because the rollout is not happening everywhere at the same time. The federal rule officially took effect in March 2026, but states have been implementing it on slightly different schedules. New York started enforcing the new ABAWD rules in March 2026. Maryland is rolling out enforcement throughout this spring. California is in the middle of converting its rules to match the new federal standard. Texas, Florida, Ohio, and most other states are in some phase of implementation right now. The bottom line is, by the middle of 2026, every state in the country will be enforcing the new work requirements on adults aged 55 to 64. Now here's the part that matters most. There are still exemptions, and millions of older adults qualify for them without realizing it. If you fall into any of these categories, the work requirement does not apply to you, and your benefits should continue normally. The first exemption is age. Adults 65 and older are completely exempt from the work requirement. If you are 65 or older, this rule does not affect you. You still have to meet the regular income and asset limits for SNAP, but you do not have to work or train. The second exemption is physical or mental disability. If you have a medical condition that prevents you from working, you are exempt. This includes serious chronic illness, mobility issues, mental health conditions, recovery from surgery, and many other diagnoses. The exemption does not require you to be receiving disability benefits from Social Security. It only requires documentation from a doctor or a healthcare provider stating that you are unable to work. If you have a health condition that limits your ability to work, even if you have never applied for disability, get a letter from your doctor and submit it to your local SNAP office. The third exemption is being a caregiver. If you live in a household with a child under 18, or with someone who has a disability or serious health condition who depends on your care, you are exempt. This catches a lot of grandparents who are raising grandchildren, and a lot of older adults who are caring for an aging spouse, parent, or sibling. If a younger family member lives with you and you provide significant care, this exemption likely applies. The fourth exemption is participation in a substance use treatment program. If you are receiving treatment for substance use, you are exempt from the work requirement during your treatment. There are also a few other narrower exemptions, including being a veteran, being a former foster youth up to age 24, being experiencing homelessness, and being pregnant. The veteran exemption was added under the new law and is particularly important for older adults who served in the military. Now let me give you the 3 mistakes that are causing eligible seniors to lose benefits right now. The first mistake is failing to report work hours on time. Many older adults who actually are working enough hours to meet the requirement still lose benefits because they missed the reporting deadline. State SNAP offices send notices asking for work documentation, and the deadlines are often short, sometimes just 10 business days. If you miss the deadline, the state assumes you are not meeting the requirement and starts the countdown. Read every piece of mail from your SNAP office immediately and respond within the window. The second mistake is assuming the exemption was applied automatically. Even if you clearly qualify for an exemption, you usually have to file paperwork to claim it. The state does not automatically exempt you based on your age, your diagnosis, or your caregiving situation. You have to submit documentation. If you turn 65, file paperwork. If you start caring for a grandchild, file paperwork. If you receive a new medical diagnosis that limits your ability to work, file paperwork. The exemption only protects you if it is on file. The third mistake is not appealing a benefit termination. If your SNAP benefits are cut off and you believe you should have been exempt or that you were meeting the requirement, you have the right to appeal. The appeal process is called a fair hearing, and in most states you have 90 days from the date of the notice to request one. During the appeal, your benefits can sometimes be continued if you request it in writing within 10 days of the notice. Many older adults do not know they can appeal, or they assume the decision is final. It is not. A significant portion of SNAP appeals are reversed in favor of the recipient, especially when documentation of an exemption is provided. Now let me give you the step-by-step process to take this month so your benefits do not get cut off without warning. The first step is to find out where you currently stand. If you are between 55 and 64 and you receive SNAP, call your state or county SNAP office this week and ask 3 specific questions. Question 1. Am I currently classified as an ABAWD under the new 2026 rules? Question 2. Has the 3-month time limit clock started for me, and if so, when does it run out? Question 3. Are there any exemptions I qualify for that are not currently on my file? Write down the answers and the name of the person you spoke to. If you cannot reach anyone by phone, visit the office in person. Many state offices are overwhelmed right now with the rollout, and in-person visits often get faster answers than phone calls. The second step is to gather documentation for any exemption you may qualify for. If you have a medical condition, get a letter from your doctor stating that you are unable to work full-time due to your condition. The letter does not have to use any specific legal language. It just has to clearly say you cannot work the required hours because of your health. If you care for a child or a disabled family member, gather documents showing the relationship and the care you provide. If you are a veteran, gather your discharge paperwork. If you are 65 or about to turn 65, gather a copy of your birth certificate or driver's license. The third step is to submit all exemption documentation to your SNAP office in writing, and keep a date-stamped copy for yourself. Verbal statements to a caseworker often do not get recorded properly. Written submissions create a paper trail. Mail the documents, drop them off in person, or upload them through your state's online benefits portal if one is available. If you mail them, send them with delivery confirmation. The fourth step is to know your local work program options if you do not qualify for an exemption. Most states have approved work training programs that count toward the 80-hour monthly requirement, and many of these programs are free, flexible, and accessible to older adults. They include adult education classes, vocational training, certain volunteer programs, and workforce development programs run through your state workforce agency. Call 211, which is a free national helpline, and ask about employment and training programs in your area that meet SNAP work requirements. They can connect you with local resources. The fifth step is to call your local area agency on aging if you need help navigating all of this. The Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 will connect you to the right office for your area. They have benefits counselors who help seniors apply for exemptions, file appeals, and stay enrolled in food assistance. Their help is free, and many older adults do not know it exists. Let me close with this. SNAP is one of the most important safety net programs this country has, and it has lifted millions of older Americans out of hunger. For decades, the law recognized that adults nearing retirement age have a harder time finding work, often have health limitations that are not severe enough to qualify for disability, and should not be forced into the same job search treadmill as a 25-year-old. The new law changes that, and not for the better. The good news is that many people affected by the new rule actually qualify for an exemption that will protect them, if they take the steps to claim it. The bad news is that nobody is going to do those steps for you. The state will not call you. The federal government will not send you a personal letter explaining your options. You or someone in your family has to do the work to make sure your benefits stay intact. If you know someone between 55 and 64 who receives food assistance, share this video with them today. A retired neighbor. A sibling who lost a job in their late 50s and never went back to full-time work. A friend who is caring for a grandchild. A veteran who has been struggling. Because the people most likely to lose benefits under the new rules are the people who never hear about the change until the notice arrives in the mail. And if you want more videos like this one, breaking down the rules that actually affect older Americans in plain English, hit subscribe. New videos every few days on Social Security, Medicare, banking, taxes, food assistance, and the laws that actually affect your retirement. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and I'll see you in the next one.